Hey everyone, so today I'd like to show you how to apply some simple special effect makeup. So let's go through some of the products you'll need. Firstly, we have Sculpt Silicone Gel, that's parts A, B and C to mix together. Here we have some wooden popsicle sticks. The top of a plastic lunchbox or any plastic surface you can find. A mixing spatula you can get from the art shop. Some translucent powder or silicone face mattifier. This is isopropyl alcohol or IPA. Some rigid collodium for making our scar. Some cream makeup and a nude lip pencil. Various sizes of acrylic art brushes. Some Skin Illustrator palettes. This is for colouring our pieces. And Ben Nye Fresh Scab. And finally, some blood. First of all, we're going to start by taking a cotton pad, getting our IPA and spraying a little bit onto the cotton pad. We want to do this to clean the surface of the skin before we apply our silicone wound. This is to ensure we have a clean surface in order for the silicone to adhere correctly. Next, we want to lay out our silicone sculpt gel parts A, B and C and open the lids. We then take 3 popsicle sticks and dip into part A, put that on the plastic lid. Take our second popsicle stick, dip into part B, and test to see that part A and B are roughly equal amounts. Continue to do the same for part C, and here you can see part A, B and C equal amounts. Transfer from the popsicle sticks onto the plastic lid. Now, once you've done that, get your spatula and you're going to mix all these 3 parts together. Now you'll see the colour of the silicone changing to more of a flesh skin tone. Keep going until you're happy they're equally mixed. So here we're going to create a very small cut wound to the face. Take a little bit on your spatula and we're going to start applying that to the face in small amounts. Take another wee bit and keep going until you're happy with the shape you're going to get. When applying, do it in very, very thin layers so it's easier to blend out and disguise. Take another wee bit, keep applying and keep flattening out the surface. When you're happy with the amount of silicone applied to the face, and you've smoothed this out, take a baby wipe and your spatula and spray some IPA on your spatula, as silicone can get quite sticky and you don't want this sticking to itself. Once you've done that, wipe off any excess. You've got a wee bit of the IPA on the spatula and this will help to blend out the edges of the piece. You don't want the silicone to look 3D, you want it to almost blend into the skin so it looks more realistic. As you can see, I'm just using the spatula here to flatten down the edges, and that is using a bit of the IPA sprayed on the spatula. Spray a little bit more on the spatula of IPA. So next, I'm going to create the cut with the pointed end and run that upward through the silicone. And you want your actor to be comfortable. Okay, so now that we've flattened out the piece, we want to spray a little bit of IPA, use the other end of our spatula, and we're going to create the cut. Run this right through the silicone piece very lightly, and there you can see it's a very light cut we have created. Once you're happy with the cut, I use the other end of the spatula just to lift up the silicone to give it a wee bit more texture to the skin. Do this all the way along the silicone piece. Okay, I think we are done. We need to leave the silicone piece to set, and that takes roughly about 10 minutes. So in the meantime, I'm going to show you how you can make a rigid collodion scar. Now we're going to apply this to the top of the forehead, running down the side of the face. Take your rigid collodion. It is quite smelly, definitely, so I always get the actor to close their eyes. So you want to apply the rigid collodion straight to the face right away, as it dries very, very fast. And here apply a second layer of rigid collodion. Get your spatula and use a flat end, place in the centre, and just lightly pinch the skin at the side. Just to create a bit of depth. And there, instantly you'll see you have a very light scar. Now, I'd quite like the scar to be a little bit deeper, so I'm going to go in with the rigid collodion and apply another layer, and do exactly the same as we did previously. Remember everyone, this dries very, very fast, so you have to work quite quickly. Now once you're happy with your scar, we're going to take our nude coloured lip pencil. This can be any brand. Apply a little bit of this to the back of your hand. You want to grab a small art brush and dip into the colour you've placed on the back of your hand. We're going to apply this directly to the scar, as this gives a really, really nice, realistic skin tone and adds a bit of depth. Always remember to take a step back from your work so you can see it from a distance and all different angles. Just lightly dot the lip colour inside the scar. Be quite delicate with this, as you don't need a lot. Okay, if you want to make the scar a wee bit deeper and to stand out more on camera, take some of the cream makeup, and here I'm going to use the red colour. Use the same brush, dip in very lightly, you only need a tiny little bit of product for this. Put on your hand to spread out. And you want to apply this to the centre and around some of the edges, being a bit more sporadic with your colour. keep going until you're happy with the colour. And there we have your scar. Nice and quick and easy. As we are still waiting for the silicone to dry, now I'd like to show you how to create an instant cut. I used the same technique on a Netflix film called Caliber to create an instant open wound. And we're going to place this on the eyebrow with some blood trickling down. Take the back end of your art brush and dip into the fresh scab. Now you just want to roll this paste onto the eyebrow very lightly, and there we go, you can see it almost gives a 3D effect. Take another wee bit and let's make it a little bit bigger. There we go. Now when you're happy with that, what you want to do is you're going to grab a baby wipe and pick up your blood. And you're going to apply the blood to the wound and let that trickle down the face. I'm going to use the baby wipe just in case when I'm applying the blood, none of the blood trickles down onto the actor's clothing or any other parts of the face I don't want it to be. Sometimes I like to apply a bit of blood on my palette, go back in with the other end of the brush, and almost just fill in any gaps. So yep, you can see that trickling down the face, which is quite nice. And if it keeps going, sometimes it can, and you really just want it to stop. That's when you can take your baby wipe and just dab it on to the end of the blood, and that's it. So there we have an instant SFX open wound with blood and your fake scar. Now going back to the rest of the mix you left on the top of your plastic lid. Dip your finger in and you can test if it's either soft or if it's hardened. Feels like the silicone piece is set here, so we're going to go in and grab our silicone mattifier and apply that to the piece. This really helps in taking any shine away and making it look fake, and it brings a bit more realism to the makeup. It's nice to start with a more matte piece, as you can add more shine at a later stage with the fake blood. So after that, we want to start colouring up our piece. I'm using a flesh tone skin illustrator with undertones and grabbing our IPA to activate the colours. Take another acrylic art brush. Firstly, I'm going to use a rose adjuster, as this is quite a common undertone to our skin. So apply that to the piece and just dab that on really lightly. And if you feel it's still a wee bit too strong, you can thin it down by using more IPA, as we have different hues within our skin tone. This is a great undertone to start with before colouring your flesh tone on top. So lightly dab that around the piece. Be sporadic with the colour placement. Now we're going to add our final layer on top, and I'm going to use something called an olive adjuster and mix 3 different skin tones here, and also dab a little bit of the rose adjuster into that. But obviously you can just keep mixing it around and keep testing until you're happy with the result. Apply this very lightly over the piece. Don't be too heavy-handed as you want it to blend into the original skin. It might not look like much at this stage, but trust me, this will really help with disguising your edges when filming in natural daylight. The Skin Illustrator dries very fast, so there is no chance of smudging or accidentally mixing with surrounding colours. Okay, now I'm going to pick up another Skin Illustrator palette, and it's called the Bloody 5, and that gives us our full range of different blood tones. We're going to take our IPA and lightly spray onto the colour. And I'm going to mix a couple of different red tones so we can paint the inside of the cut. Now apply that directly to the centre of the cut. This is quite a good base tone to start with, which will really help make your cut stand out from the flesh colour tones you have applied. Now we're going to apply a slightly deeper tone of red, just to give a little bit of depth to the cut. Remember, keep mixing, and if you find colour just a wee bit too strong, remember you can keep thinning that down using IPA. Next, we're going to apply our blood. Taking your baby wipe and the blood, apply this. Oh, there we go, and you can see this is why I use the baby wipe, so it doesn't actually go anywhere else. Let that trickle down. And yeah, I think that's the right amount. And of course you can apply more, totally experiment with this. So there we have it, your silicone cut, scar and small open wound. 3 examples of some SFX makeup you can practice at home, either for your short film or future projects. Thanks for viewing everyone, I really hope this has been helpful, and go have some fun.